Hi everyone, welcome to Boise State Rugby. My name is Rich Hersey, and with me today is Brian Semensky, my expert on rugby law.
And many other things.
And many other things. We're not a couple of professionals, we're just a couple of guys that love rugby and love to talk rugby. So we're here today.
Although as a referee I do get paid, and so I am a sort of professional.
We're here to cover the Boise State University Broncos playing the Western Washington University Vikings.
This is a playoff game, right, Rich?
This is the semifinals of the NCRC, the Northwest Collegiate Rugby Conference. Western Washington's second in their pool after losing to Oregon in a tough match. Boise State undefeated this season. Some high hopes going into this game.
Rich, is it pronounced Oregon or Oregon?
It's Nevada and Oregon and all the ways that we say it out here in the West. Up here in the Northwest, rugby has really taken off for Boise State. It's one of the things that we want to cover. Well, let's jump into the weather.
There's a fierce gala, a northern Arctic breeze crossing the field.
Is coming in. It is still February 29th here in Boise, Idaho. The weather's about 45 degrees with a little bit of wind.
We've been blessed with no snow.
The sun is shining temporarily, might have some cloud cover, but I think the wind is going to play a factor in some of the strategy today, the kicking game. How do you see that?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be working well because the wind is blowing sideline to sideline. You really have to play a factor for forward passes in rugby if the wind's traveling from goal line to goal line, because that can potentially blow the ball forward. Being sideline to sideline, I don't see a whole lot of it. The kicking game is going to be strategic. We'll see how that ball gets up into the wind and how the wind really affects the ball as it travels down.
Be interesting to see which team takes the north side of the pitch versus the south side of the pitch first to try to capitalize on that wind. We had a chance to interview Coach Dutton before the game and talk a little bit about the strategy coming into this and some of his leadership. We're going to go ahead and roll to that now and get a bit of time with Coach Dutton. Here with head coach Matt Dutton. Matt came from Oklahoma State, was a player for Oklahoma State, played fly half, was a captain of the team, and then found himself here in Boise, Idaho. Got his master's in leadership, athletic leadership here at Boise State. Matt, could you talk a little bit about what your experience at Oklahoma State has brought here to Boise and how you've applied some of the things you learned in leadership?
Well, a lot's changed in rugby since I played at Oklahoma State. I left there in 2000, and what I left with was, a passion for the game. And when I made it to Boise, I made it a goal to get back involved in rugby, and I was fortunate enough to get connected with Coach Jeremy Hayner and Matt Giannetti, and they let me come on and get involved with this program. It was about the same time I got involved with the Masters of Athletic Leadership program at Boise, and that was a great opportunity for me to get involved with the athletic department here, kind of look at their culture, but also kind of explore leadership and athletic leadership, some of the challenges with athletics from a leadership perspective, and really allowed me to kind of work with the club from that perspective. And over the last couple of years, we've really focused on a strong foundation, trying to instill some team values and grow that culture. I think that's probably been the number one thing we've been trying to do over the last couple of years that we've had success doing. It's a process. We still got a long way to go, but I think the guys are buying in, and we keep bringing in great guys and great recruits, and right now everything's looking up for us.
Can you talk a little bit more about some of the values that you work on instilling with this team? Some of the things that you cover, like integrity and accountability. And I heard that you try to instill one of those kind of values distinctly in each practice. What does that look like, and how has the team embraced those values? That's the process. So right now, I'd say for some of the guys, the values are just words. So we're really trying to work hard to assign meaning to what those values mean. I've been pretty proud of these guys this year. In the times that we've had our backs against the wall, they have shown grit. That's one of our values. One of the values that these values are the values that these guys established. What type of a team do you want to be? And when you walk on and off the pitch and this university talks about you and thinks about you, what type of values do you think that people are going to see? And then they listed those values, and those are the values you have on your paper there and on the website, and grit's one of them, and they've shown that this year. We do talk about values regularly because it is a process, and
and we're never finished. The people side of the sport of rugby is what I'm interested in, and I think we've got a good group of coaches that elevate the rugby side of it, and the values that I'm seeing in these guys are contributing to the culture that we're experiencing right now, and again, everything's looking up for us as part of that.
All right, thank you. Boise State's ranked 14th nationally, undefeated coming into this semifinal game. A lot of hype around this game. I'm sure the boys are super excited. What did you do to address the hype and the energy coming into this, and what was the game plan going into this week for Western Washington?
Yeah, back to process. From day one this year, it's been 1 week at a time, one match at a time. It's easy to get caught up, and it's exciting to get caught up in the golf rugby stuff, and the guys pay attention to that. But that's been on their radar for the whole season, and I poke a hole in that balloon real quick and say, hey, that's great. But at the end of the day, we have to earn those accolades, or we have to earn that reputation. And right now, the challenge or the opportunity that's in front of us is today against Western Washington. So it's really the process. What do we need to do today? Remember who we are, and let's just start keep fine-tuning the things that we're doing and that are working for us.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Good luck to you today. Back with us live here at Boise State, about 5 minutes away from kickoff. We had a chance to not only talk with the coaches, but some of the players, and the players that we're going to be looking at to make a real difference in this game. With Boise State, number 7, Charles Hubbard. Charles is a really dynamic player, captain of the team.
He was a top 20 California State wrestling champion in high school, so we do know he's a all-around athlete.
Yeah, coming out of Sacramento, California, played for Motherlode in high school. Look for him to fill in the gaps on the outside edge. If they can work and get the ball to him on the outside, he's a very dynamic player, very, very strong player.
Good
he should
tackler,
be an impact player that we're going to see in this game quite a bit. The next one that we're looking to make an impact for Boise State is Kyle Curry. Kyle's the 9 for Boise State. He's the club president. Although he's a sophomore here at Boise State, he instantly made a big impact. One of those Granite Bay players that has come up from California.
He will control the flow of the game, so it'll be very important to see how he controls the pace for the Boise State going forward.
Yeah, setting that pace for both the forwards and the backs. And then finally, somebody that we're really looking to make an impact in this game, Jacob Schaefer, Boise State's 15, coming out of Granite Bay as well. Grew up in Roseville, California, played a couple years in high school, but a very strong player, capable of inserting himself anywhere with the forward pack or the backs.
If the game goes to foot and the ball is being kicked, the 15s are going to be instrumental. Moving over into Western Washington, their 15 is very dynamic as well. Darius Brown was a Western Washington fullback. So interesting to see where he is and how he inserts himself into the offense. On the flip side, if he's in the offense, he's not on defense. So if there's any transition play, several scores, 70% of all scores are made through transition rugby, and that's changing from offense to defense. So should be very interesting to see. We're also looking to watch for on Western Washington, number 10, Nathan Matthias. He is from Yelm, Washington. He is a 4-star athlete as well. So
yeah, rugby, football, track, wrestling.
Did it
this
all,
guy did it all in high school.
And the 10, it just controls the pace for the backs. He sees the space and plans to attack through it. So it'll be interesting to see how Boise State does defending the dynamic offense of Western Washington and how their 10 and 15 choreograph their plays together in the offense. The defensive back line for me is going to happen in Boise State. And if Boise State can stop that movement with Western Washington, my goodness, we're going to have a game.
Yeah, and that's certainly the keys to the game for me. Boise State needs to control the ball. They need to retain possession. They need to limit their turnovers, limit their penalties. As long as they can do that and keep the ball in hand, I think they'll do just fine against this Western Washington Vikings team.
We do have a couple, where they're getting ready to take the field, but we do have a couple player numbers changes, and I just wanted to keep you abreast of that. Griffin Mosier, who is at second row, is now 18.
Playing the 5 spot, will be wearing number 18.
Sam Partello, their 10, is wearing the 21. Nolan Stabbert is now 19. and he is their wing. And the other wing on the other side is Boise's own Blake Cole. He's wearing a 22.
Yeah, Capital High School grad.
So let's look for those number changes and know that the parents that are watching, your child did make the field. They're just in a different jersey. Very good. The boys are about ready to take the field. They're doing their final cheers. Let's get into position, grab your popcorn, and let's see what happens. All right, you're in.
Stop, I'll come over to you. We discuss in the forward
Okay.
position.
Yes. Sounds good. I'll tell them to spin on sides, and then if they don't listen.
Off, Western Washington receiving. Western Washington will be working from our left, going to the right as you see it on your TVs. And Boise State will be defending the right side of the field, moving to your left. Boise State is in white. Western Washington in the traditional rugby hooped jersey. One of my favorites. I've always followed the hoop jerseys, but boy, I love it when they're on the socks.
All right, Brian, here we go. Kickoff. Boise State gets a good high kickoff to start it.
Knocked forward.
Looks
Did the
like it might have
referee see
been knocked.
He did see it. We are an advantage to white. We are in a scrum advantage to white as they push into the 22. They've got numbers to the outside. Is there meat on that bone? No, he didn't get it in.
Waiting to see what happened over there. I'm not seeing a secondary signal from the referee yet.
Looks like he's driven into touch. So we're going to have a line out, it appears, to Western Washington. Boise State drove the ball in. When you're in rugby and you drive the ball into touch, it's a turnover. So now Boise State is defending. Western Washington's on offense, and they will be throwing the ball into the tunnel. Referee's going to let that play, even though it looked like it may have been on the outside of the tunnel, Rich.
Yeah, he's definitely going to let them play this one out. Western Washington slowing it down a little bit, setting it up to kick it out of bounds, and they did not kick it out of bounds. That wind becoming a factor
Cole,
again.
Boise zone, looking to the left, probing the defense.
Boise State's going to slow it down a little bit here, make sure that they're set up.
They've got forwards to the outside in numbers if they go one more time. Rich, do you see it from here?
Chris,
looking right. Oh, he bubbled it.
Advantage to Western Washington. Looks like they've recovered the ball, but the Sir's going to go ahead and blow the whistle, and we'll have another scrum down. So a little bit of excitement there to begin. Boise State moving the ball pretty well to the outside. I expect to see quite a few big breaks and big plays when Boise State can move that ball to the outside.
Rich, in rugby, when you knock the ball forward, it's not necessarily a penalty, but it's a restart. And what we have here is both teams, what they call their forwards, they're joining up, and they're going to put the ball in the center of the tunnel, and each team's objective is to drive over the ball. Tremendous amount of force, tremendous danger in the scrum like this, and really we look to get the ball out quickly for safety.
The Vikings get the ball in and quickly out to their backs. Look for Boise State's defense, specifically with their backs. Did a lot of work on their defense to prevent that Western Washington attack.
That was that Western Washington 15 inserting himself to the inside ball from the 10. Like to see that.
Western Washington playing it slow now as they try to set up some work.
Potential obstruction there. He's okay. Washington looked to play that short side of the field.
Again, Washington playing it pretty carefully right now. Slowing it down, not in any big rush. I think they're looking to set it up.
The layered attack there, if you saw that. They had dummy runners going in the front. That's very nice to see at this age.
Yeah, we certainly saw a lot of that in their pregame warm-ups where they're running their dummy lines. I certainly expect to see Western Washington do a lot of that throughout this match.
This is Western Washington's 5th possession, or phase as we would call it, Rich. Good ball control, that is one of our keys to the game. They are kicking it away, though.
Here comes the kick away.
Bit of space out there.
Boise State's 15. Jacob Schaefer back to help his wingers. Possessing that ball, very important in this place as the rest of their team is recovering and getting back
to an onside position.
That is a mess down there. Boise State somehow lost that ball. I got to say hands were in and the ref missed it, but it is what it is. You got to play the ref. That's a clean tackle in my opinion. He wasn't lifted, the feet didn't come over the shoulder. We're playing on. Good, strong tackle.
Good tackle by Josh Daniil, number 13 out of Santa Clarita.
Again, possession play by Western Washington. That is dominance there, Rich, as you can cycle that ball around 5 and 6 times. Excellent effort by Charles Hubbard to get that poached. There's a breakaway. Well,
yeah,
I don't want to say we said it.
A little bit like we predicted, Brian.
But number 15, Darius Brown, dynamic fullback coming through and just finding the open space.
Yeah, it was his teammate that did the work. Darius finishing it up, and once he gets loose with that ball, good luck catching him.
So, Rich, what do you see here is a strategy for Boise State and how to slow this thing down, because that's ball possession, ball possession, ball possession, and Western Washington really moved the field down with that big kick and then stole the ball and never lost it again. What do they need to do?
This wind is playing a factor already. Like I talked about in the pregame, it seems like the wind is coming a little bit from our left to the right. Western Washington has the advantage with the wind right now. They're using that to their advantage. They're going to kick with the wind and try to take advantage of any kind of a turnover. If Boise State is going to hold the ball and keep the ball, they definitely need to make sure that they don't make those kind of errors when the ball is kicked and cleared to their side of the pitch. I think once they get a hold of the ball, they slow it down, calm their nerves. This team's a little bit nervous right now, a little bit excited. They'll be able to recover from this early score by the Vikings.
Playing the ball in the air is a difficult prospect, especially when it's windy out. And so we didn't have that there. That was just kicking into open territory. They saw space and they kicked to it. It's a very tactical move. Smart play by Western Washington.
Yeah, one that actually surprised me quite a bit. Jacob Schaefer off to kick again.
Nice tackle. Boise State on defense. Western Washington moving in, playing their forwards outside the C channel.
Yeah, the Vikings are playing it cautiously again. On their side of the pitch, they're going to be playing it carefully. Not nearly the big booming kick that we had in that first one. But
got him for obstruction.
I believe that is Blake Cole that caught the ball.
So that call there was essentially a Boise State player blocking the path for a tackle from Western Washington on that kick. It is what it is.
Vikings going to kick that out of bounds. Brian, with a penalty like that, when the team kicks it out of bounds, why is it their ball again after they've kicked it out of bounds?
So there's only 2 spots in rugby where you can retain possession, and that is with the kick from penalty into touch. Every other time that the ball goes into touch, it has to bounce in and then go out. Basically, what we're seeing here is they kick it up and they gain all that territory and the restart. Big maul going right here.
Vikings looked to maul, but they've already got advantage because the Sir must have seen a Boise State player take that maul down. And so with the penalty advantage, they're going to go ahead and try to kick to gain some space, but because they didn't get any space, the referee is going to bring that back to the penalty position.
Yeah, the smartest thing to do there when the referee is an advantage is to play that ball, but to play it into goal, really make a chance at goal. And if they can't get the ball into goal, then, you know, obviously the ref restarts it. He restarts it where the penalty occurred. So very tactical. The 10 for Western Washington, Nathan Mathis is playing a very heads-up game and very tactical in his kicking.
Yeah, very smart to go ahead and attempt to kick that ball to Darius on the wing again, inserting himself out there on the very edge. Vikings taking their time, 10 setting him up outside of 10. Darius with the ball again. I don't see the Vikings trying to play a sped up version of this game. They're being very precise in their attack.
We have a high tackle advantage, Rich. It's a dodgy call in the sense that the ball carrier was going into ground, but nonetheless, and he wasn't brought to ground off of that. It's just how they saw it. You know, what picture are you giving the referee? And going high is the wrong picture.
The Vikings running a split
Short
forward
side.
attack.
Good defense.
One after another. Just very difficult for Boise State to handle those big
Okay, so
forwards
here comes
running
the
at them.
penalty on the high tackle. So referee didn't see it. I probably would have let it play a little bit longer right there. They're on the 2-meter
Yeah,
line.
they were right on the goal line for the referee to pull that back about 10 meters.
I feel like Western
Could be a little
Washington got
disappointing.
shorted on that one. But in turn, Boise State probably got shorted on the penalty to begin with. Good defense coming up. Missed that tackle. Oh, boy.
And
Try
another
is
try
awarded.
for the Vikings. Well, so far the Vikings didn't have to use their backs too much. Of course, Darius scoring from the 15 position for their first try, but a lot of that play that we just watched was heavy with forward play.
I haven't been keeping track, but has Boise State had the ball on offense?
Yeah, in that first little bit, we did have 2 or 3 phases before we lost possession of the ball. We drove the ball down there, had good back play, good offloads to the backs.
Did you mention possession as a key to your game, Rich?
So far, if we had a clock on the time with the ball, here 11 minutes into the game, the Vikings have had possession for about 7 or 8 minutes, and Boise State maybe 3 or 4, maybe.
I might go with 60 seconds. 3 phases is pretty short possession. Boise State needs to get the pill. They need to keep it, and they need to put that defense on. Boise State's working super hard on defense. This game is easy when you're on offense. You're running, they're tackling, and right now Boise State is seeing that. They need to get the ball, and they need to put Western Washington on defense, and they need to make them tackle. Let's see if they can get possession again. The kicking game has been pretty good. Oh, the kicking game has been really good for. Oh, here we go. That's a good play. That's smart and that's heady. The ball had traveled 10 meters and it was tipped backwards by Boise State. Now they have possession. Let's see if they can find some momentum.
That was Boise
He
State.
is all by himself.
Number 8, Dylan Marsh, who jumped up and knocked that ball back to his own team to regain advantage. This is really critical. Boise State wants to keep control of this ball.
Boise State now has ball. Western Washington's moving up very quickly on defense. Something to be watched. Oh, intentional knock, sir. Will he have it? He did. All right, so there's a penalty for an intentional knock. Do that again, and you might even see a yellow coming out of that, Rich.
Good ball movement by Sam Portello, Boise State's number 10, although he's wearing jersey number 21 today.
Who kicked that ball for Boise State, Rich? That was 21, Sam Portello. Sam has him a left-footed boot that can straight smack it. That was a great kick. Going into the wind, too. This is a line out to Boise State.
Boise State's got a number of options that they've implemented with their lineouts. Looks like they're just going front pod with this one.
9 has the ball, so we're going to see some movement from the forwards here, Rich.
Yeah, Kyle Curry's stuck underneath that pile.
Short side.
Forwards
Griffin
are good.
Mosier making a move. Hey, he tipped it. He has the penalty. This could be more than just a penalty, Rich. In that tackle, they did lift those legs above the head, and Griffin Mosier landed on his shoulders. Here comes the penalty. Let's see what happens. Whoa.
So he did not have a penalty advantage. He had advantage for knock. Apparently the Vikings knocked the ball, and then we're going to come back to that spot.
Maybe my view is obstructed by distance. I thought I saw Griffin Mosier's cleats in the air at the tackle.
Well, the good news is Boise State retains possession here. Kyle Curry getting ready to put the ball in to his
I would
forwards.
really like to see Boise State attack all the way out to the wing here and really get that Western Washington team running. If Boise State can allow for that Western Washington side to stay in the center of the field and defend, it could be a long game. They really need to get those boys running and defending sideline to sideline, and let's see if they can get that ball all the way out.
There was something that the ref did not like the first time they set up the scrum, Brian. What are some of the reasons that the referee would stop the scrum and lift them up?
Most commonly the bind on the props, Rich. The props hold this whole thing up, and if they lose their bind, weak side wing coming in, inside ball to the inside center, or they are aggressive at the breakdown.
Yeah, that was a nice offload by Blake Cole to Luke Burley.
He is awarded the penalty for the ball carrier not releasing. Western Washington is very quick at playing the ball after the tackle. So essentially here, guys, if the ball carrier goes to ground and the defender can enter that tackle from the goal line, he is allowed to play the ball. The ball carrier is forced to release the ball. In this case, the Western Washington received the position, he got possession and lost it.
Vikings running a couple of dummy lines with their forwards out there with their backs. One thing that's very impressive with the Vikings is that they have any number of players that can fill in as a 9 or a 10 and distribute that ball out to their centers
Weak side.
and their wings.
They're set up weak side. They've got numbers.
Looks like they've knocked it there.
Wow.
Yeah. Boise
Western
State
Washington
cut to break.
Western Washington had 6 players on the short side of the field. Boise State had 3 defending. Boise State's going to need to do a good job at communicating that. If Western Washington can communicate it, Boise State's going to need to. That happens in the forwards. That happens with the 9. He's got to be out there shuttling everybody around and seeing where they're going. They're certainly seeing the undefended side.
Explain this call in the scrum.
Well, essentially, the referee sees the loose head prop, the prop on the front's left side, as burrowing in and forcing that to go that way.
Causing that scrum to twist the way that it did.
Yeah, it's a judgment call there. I thought Boise State won, and they have no reason to burrow in, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, Boise State looked dominant in that scrum, but with the spinning, a lot of times the referees are going to blow that up and either call a penalty or reset the scrum.
Rich, predominantly the attacking side in that scrum, in this case Boise State, moving forward rarely gets that call called against them. When scrums collapse, they collapse because defense can't defend it, and they've already lost the ball. That's where you seem to find that the most. Ooh, nice attempt. Not straight. Options.
Boise State getting another break here.
So the ball has to be thrown into the tunnel. You know what referees look for here, Rich? They just simply watch to see if the ball carrier, or the jumper in this case, is catching the ball inside or outside. In this win, the ball was moved to the outside of the tunnel. Watch where Boise State catches the ball. If they catch it over their head to the inside, then that's okay. It's when the ball goes to the outside of their ear, that's when the referees call that as not in.
Boise State's Chris Costa, the hooker for Boise State, looking to throw this one in. It's a good throw. Kyle Curry off to his backs, who of course offloads it to Drew French, the wrestler in high school.
Oh boy, that was knocked forward. We are in advantage to Western Washington. I don't see this going anywhere. I wonder how long he's going to let that play. Well defended. It seems to be an unnecessary advantage in my opinion, unless he's going to call it dead. I don't know. It doesn't look like he's coming back to the advantage.
The referee is continuing to let this advantage play on.
They have yet to meet the gain line where the advantage was. So
backs ball to their forwards and a nice offload.
He let the advantage go, and now it's Boise State's ball.
Yeah.
Rich, is going to be very difficult. If you can pay attention to the pods that Western Washington is running, and when I say pods, I mean the group of 3 forwards outside of the rucks that are receiving that ball. They're not just throwing to that group, they're running a second ball pass in that group. So you're really seeing 2 passes before contact, and that makes it difficult for defenses to defend because you don't know if the initial ball carrier is getting it, and that short pass forcing the defense to shift their tackling lanes, and that's why you're seeing the line breaks that you're seeing.
Well, not only that, Western Washington has been using those forward pods as dummy lines, running them through and then passing it beyond to their 10, and if the 10's not in that position, they've got a number of other backs that can fill into that 10 position, and they're distributing it to an additional group of forwards.
We call that an over and under. Some people in England call it a punch Judy, but a layered attack nonetheless. Here, 8-man picking it.
And pick to Kyle Curry.
There's the line break they were
Blake
looking
Cole.
for. He has support. He didn't see it. Oh my, that's a weird collision.
Yep.
This referee is seeing a tremendous amount of possession at that I am not seeing.
Yeah, he called Blake Cole after that tackle for not releasing. There was a Viking player over the ball. Looked like he was there.
See possession, Rich. That's my issue.
And the ruck was formed pretty quickly.
So there's 2 indicators here, guys, for what makes it legal for them to hang onto the ball when a ruck is formed. Position, meaning he's entered in from the goal line, and possession. If he doesn't have possession, that's not a penalty. So that's what we're going to be looking for, and maybe you guys at home have a better view at this than I do, but be paying attention. Does he have possession?
Line out to the Vikings. Looks like he might have him for a high tackle.
It's another penalty. Boise State, second penalty for high tackles. He's watching it, and now he's showing them that's number 2.
And that penalty looks to be against number 2 as well, Chris Costa.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate, but being the second penalty, referees tend to allow this to happen 3 times. The 3rd time, someone might be shown the yellow. The yellow would mean that he is going to be sitting out for 10 minutes, and Boise State would be playing short-sided. They need to get those tackles low. Boy, they just threw the ball in, and the ref has no idea.
Yep, the ref was checking to make
he's
sure
going to let it go.
Boise State's team was onside. Yeah, the line out looked fine. It looks like the Vikings are again going to slow it down a little bit, set up some of that work that they do with their forwards.
I can't help but think that was crazy.
Yeah, that happens.
They're playing rugby and the ref's not looking.
There's another one of those dummy lines. Boise State shooting up a defender. Number 13, Josh Daniil, getting up there and preventing that pass out to their backs.
Western Washington has numbers out here. They have 2 outside. Here comes Boise State to match, though.
Looks like the Vikings are going to continue to come our direction off to their forward number 2.
One more right, short side.
And now being over on the far edge, Vikings look to pull it back to the left. 10 again to their forwards, to the pods. And that offload right before contact, that's so tough to defend.
That's that second pass right there.
Boise State penalized for another high tackle. The ref looking to go to his pocket because this is the 3rd time this has happened. Brian, how many times do you say they usually do this?
I think I just said 3, and then they're shown the yellow. So the talking to, it may not be his 3rd high tackle, but it's Boise State's high tackle for number 3. So if he's shown the yellow, well, I guess we knew it.
He was reaching into his pocket earlier, and there it is.
It's almost like we had a crystal ball up here, Rich.
Yeah, Boise State's in a tough spot now. They got 10 minutes to play with only 14 players against Vikings 15. That was number 6, Drew French, receiving the yellow card, heading off to the sin bin with 17 minutes to go in the first half. He'll get back onto the field around that 7-minute mark.
Boise State's going to need to go slow at every single phase. This ball goes out into touch, they're going to need to go slow. They need to walk over. When they get possession, they're going to need to slow things down. They need that clock to really burn off to get that guy back out on the field. Defending this Western Washington team has proven to be difficult. Doing it a man down, yaichi. Boise State's going to need to get tougher than a woodpecker's lips here, boys. They're going to really need to bow up and play some strong defense.
Western Washington's been going with the 5-man line out, leaving a number of their forwards in that back line with the backs. Boise State catching a little bit of a break there.
And here's where they're going to need to really take it slow.
Inside of their own 22, it'll be a scrum down.
I certainly wouldn't go for a second line out in this wind.
Well, maybe not. Looks like Boise State.
Well, Rich, they have options, right? So the choices are another line out by the defending team after it's not thrown straight, or a scrum option on the 5-meter line. So Boise State's chosen to take the line out in this wind. We'll see if this proves to be good. The wind is probably casting that ball more into the center of the tunnel where it's blowing it out for Western Washington. Oh boy.
And again, not straight. That wind is just proving to be challenging.
Probably would have been the call to go with a scrum there, Rich. Looks like Western Washington will do such a thing.
Now, Boise State being down a player, number 6, Drew French, who would normally be up there in the scrum. What are their options, Brian, to match numbers up there? What's required at the
it's
collegiate
difficult
level?
to say, but I believe that they've pulled a halfback or a back into their forward pack. I think the good news here is that just about everyone's played everywhere for this Boise State team. Where's the penalty? So for me, the caution here is Boise State pushed Western Washington back. Western Washington lost their feet. Most likely that's going to be the penalty. Front rows lose that grip. They collapse when they're going backwards. If they kept their feet, Boise State would have pushed right over the ball. So it's natural for the losing side of the scrum to just lose their feet to try to reset this thing.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what Western Washington's done right here.
Yeah, interesting. I don't believe that Boise State has replaced Drew French in the scrum. There's the penalty.
Unfortunate.
Again for burrowing from the pushing in from the side. They're Western Washington going to go quick off that penalty, try to take advantage of Boise State returning to that 10-meter mark.
Yeah.
And there it is, another try for Western Washington.
So the key here is, and this is the second penalty he's had, essentially how a scrum works, Rich, is that the front row guys, the props, okay, where the point of contact is for opposing teams, they have to bind onto the jersey of their opponent. That binding on actually holds the scrum up. When they lose that, or they slide that bind onto an arm, we call it a chicken wing. But basically, he's grabbing on to the back of the elbow and he pulls down. When he loses that grip and he pulls down, one of two things happen. It allows him, because his shoulder's no longer high, it allows him to burrow in, okay? Or he loses his grip altogether and it collapses. Those are those penalties, and that's exactly what the referee's looking at there. He's just essentially seeing who lost their grip. And in this case, he caught Boise State.
Yeah, he did. Nathan Mathis with the conversion for Western Washington, bringing that point total up now to 21.
There is a lot of talk on how to handle Western Washington's pressure at the breakdown for Boise State. The referee is allowing players to get in there. He's allowing them to play that tackle very tightly, and Boise State needs to do a lot better job of supporting their own players and clearing that poach or tackle assist off of the ball, because they are on it like white on rice.
Now, we knew Western Washington was going to be quick on the poach. Looks like Boise State's taken that ball on the kickoff, going to ground, and Boise State has secured the ball. Moving it out to their 10. Out to number 18, Griffin Mosier.
Is it good?
Kyle changing directions when he sees his pack has moved over to his right.
That's where they need it close, right there. They need him right over the top of them. That's how they retain possession, Rich. Nice close support.
Sam Portello doing a good job slowing down his tackle to allow his team to get over and ruck over and give him that support.
Boise State has big numbers to the left here if they can get these passes down.
There's that wind playing a little bit of a factor. Dylan Marsh getting the ball inadvertently
It's a
with
high
that
tackle.
wind.
He didn't see it though. Play the ball, boys. Griffin Mosier now at the halfback position. They're going to play a truck and trailer game here.
Yeah, Boise State definitely looking to slow this one down a little bit.
Rich, I wonder how much if this referee is going to allow the playing at the breakdown, how much groundwork is he going to allow these ball carriers to have? It quite might possibly be that Boise State just simply needs to stop poaching or posting that ball up and really taking that extra role or an extra job at posting that ball to buy their support a touch more time.
Yeah, Western Washington has been so quick to get over that ball and attempt that poach.
There's the ball off the foot, but it's going to right to the weak side wing here. He is.
Might have been knocked by
Western Washington advantage
Washington's
to Boise.
15,
Yeah.
Darius. Of course, Boise State's already gained enough territory from that spot. That may be over.
Oh, penalty now. So that is the tackler not releasing the ball carrier is what that is. So the tackler, it's possible here that Western Washington is tackling the ball carrier, not allowing Boise State to release the ball and giving their team an opportunity to play that poach. The referee's seeing it now, and he's beginning to call it.
I'm not sure what the penalty count is at, Brian. But,
Oh, it's a lot to a little.
but Boise State has definitely been on the wrong side of the penalty count.
I'm going to try and find out who this is.
Yeah, what?
Allow
Western
me to-
Washington Vikings have a downed player.
Injury to the left foot. It is difficult for me to see. I have no numbers. But it looks like he is going to be coming off the field. And once he comes off, Rich, he is not coming back. In rugby, you get a substitution, 6 of them. And if you leave the field other than a blood substitution, you may not come back. Still don't have his number, but we'll get that to you later and post it.
Now, I'm no mathematician, but 23 guys on the roster and 15 players on the field. I think you're allowed 8 substitutions.
Do you get the I don't think so. No, I really don't. I don't think you get 8. I see your math, but
There's
other
just
reasons.
options, there.
We are in conflict.
8 minutes to go in this first
I think we're
half.
at 1 minute left on the sin bin as well. So Boise State only giving up 1 score, and if they could notch one of their own short-sighted.
Lucky with the bounce, number 7, Charles Hubbard, the team captain, recovering that ball.
Boise State needs to play a lot faster than this. That inside center is shooting up so fast.
Yeah, Boise State he was the one that had the intentional knock at the beginning of the game.
That's Mountain View High's Griffin Mosier making a move.
He is
Local.
about 6'6" and tough.
They're offsides.
Tough as a $2 steak. Trying to bring him down is a real challenge.
I had me a $2 steak the other night, and I'll tell you what, I think it's still with me, Rich. Boise State toggling between sidelines. I think
Quentin Goss getting the ball, going into contact, and
a clean
the
poach
Vikings
apparently.
have just been
I'm not sure how that happened.
struggling. Boise State has just struggled to keep Western Washington from taking that ball. A little bit of confusion on the Surrey which way that penalty's going, but another high tackle penalty.
I didn't see a high tackle there because the player went to his knees. So that's not entirely the tackler's fault. Let's be honest though, the tackler was standing straight up when he went to make the tackle. The play back there, I'm not sure how it's possible that somebody from the opposing side came out of the ball with the ball without putting their hands in the ruck, Rich.
Well, the Vikings have been so quick over the ruck. In our perspective, here from about 100 meters away, apparently a little different than the Sirs and what he saw, because he let them, let them bring that ball out.
Boise State is not. Oh, here it comes. He'll be coming back at this next restart. Oh my, that is. Wow, that tree just saved that truck.
The Vikings just substituted a player, bringing in some fresh blood.
1 minute. Is that a 12-minute sin bin, or am I off on my math?
Well, certainly the Sir is the one that keeps the official time and track of the 10 minutes for the yellow card, although we thought it would be over about a minute ago.
No one's accused me of being smart, Rich. I'll just go with it.
The Sir is the one who keeps the official record and knows when to bring his team back in.
Big forward numbers lined up in the backfield.
The Sir marching Boise State back row to the 10-meter mark.
Look for something special to come off of this breakdown right here. Oh.
Again, the lineouts and not straight. Both teams have struggled with that.
It really
and
felt like the wind's died down, Rich,
the
so maybe that was just a poor throw.
The wind is not nearly like it was a little bit earlier.
But Boise State, twice bitten, once shy, have gone for the scrum.
What do you know? Here they go for the scrum. Tired of dealing with the line out and the Sir maybe being a little
What am I missing
little picky
on this? Why are we not getting the sin bin back in?
Another minute's gone by since we just talked about it. It seems or feels as if we're going on minute 11, 12, or maybe even longer on the yellow card. Number 6, Boise State's Drew French, just eager to get back in there and
eager for him to get back
make
in.
a difference, get his team back up to 15.
I feel like I've been waiting for this for 15 minutes now.
So again, Boise State playing the scrum with 7 players. They got their flanker on the strong side, the open side, and no flanker on the inside.
They should be forced to match numbers here, Rich, and I do believe that that's a man. Something's not right there. You can't play without a flanker.
At the men's level, they do not have to match numbers.
No. Is that?
Oh. A knock, unfortunate, unlucky.
Very
Boise
unlucky.
State with some room, some real estate to run outside.
Can we get the sin bin back? There we go.
Yeah, okay. From our count, the unofficial time, about 14 minutes on that one. But we're glad to see him back in. It's going to be the Vikings put in on this scrum.
You know, Rich, a broken watch is still right twice a day. It's possible my watch is just simply broken.
It could be. Well, something going on there in the scrum. Something that the Sir didn't like. He's going to tell both teams to back off and bring the captains in to talk about whatever issue it is that he's seeing there. Looks like he's bringing a front row player up. Number 1, Abe Romligan, to talk about whatever kind of an issue he's seen there, because we've seen the burrowing penalty a number of times. Maybe finally explaining what he's seeing there and what's causing this issue.
Well, Rich, I have reviewed my law. When a team is reduced to fewer than 15 for any reason, in this case a yellow card, then the number of players in each team in the scrum may be similarly reduced.
Maybe.
Where a permitted reduction is made by one team, there's no requirement for the other team to make a similar reduction. So it's quite possible that I'm just a high school ref who is cross-eyed and doesn't know anything.
Here I called you my law expert.
You may go unmatched if you choose to do so. Well, that makes me an expert. I have the app.
Right? Nobody's arguing that.
Rich did say before the day starts out he's going to call me an idiot. Now's your chance.
That'll be for something you say way worse than that.
Again, now they're moving back. If Western Washington loses their feet, this is where the penalty should come. There it is, Rich.
Yes, there it is. Now with Drew French back into the scrum. Boise State dominating that scrum, driving Western Washington back and up and over the ball, over their own legs, causing Western Washington to lose their feet.
I feel like that call could have happened a couple of times earlier, Rich. Boise State's scrum is dominant. Forget the second throws at the line out and start scrumming.
Yeah, yep.
I would be taking scrum options at every penalty close, and I would force them into a yellow card scenario, back-to-back repeat infringements, and short side that other team. That scrum was dominant.
Only a minute showing on the game clock. Of course, the ref may have two minutes or so in stoppage. How much pressure on Boise State right now to try to get one in, get the white line fever cured before the end of this half?
I am not seeing a ton of meat on this bone, Rich, but if they can get one over for a bit of meat, that would be monstrous.
You know, Boise State winning the ball in the line out, had a little bit of challenge with that in the first half. So good to see that they've held on with that. Backs ball off to the forwards, number 8.
Is that not
Dylan
some
Marsh
quick
with the ball.
defensive line speed I'm seeing by Western Washington?
Outside center, Josh Daniil with the ball. Boise State support is definitely picked up the pace. Now they're with it.
Oh, there's
a hole. Gets a little bit of a gap. Shoelace tackle just got him.
He's alone.
Abe Ramlagan.
We feel a bit of momentum coming here. Boise State playing with some energy. We need quicker decisions out of the breakdowns, Rich. There are opportunities, but boy, when you wait, they get taken away. One more time. There's a little bit of number out here.
Finding
He's
the
isolated.
space on the 19.
Can he stay into touch? He stayed into play. That's a great play.
Edge.
Boise State stretching the field now, putting in their number 9 inside of a forward pack. That's really stretching the defense. They're offsides. No call, though.
Western Washington's defense has been really aggressive. I'd love to be able to see that camera angle from right over top of that defensive line, because I'm with you, Brian.
There
I think
it is, Rich. Guess what? He called the offsides.
Yep, they've been pressing that line. Good for them for pressing, putting that pressure on Boise State.
I may not know my law, Rich, but I could see a penalty a mile away. Not sure that makes me a good ref, but whatever.
A little bit of time left here to go in the first half. Boise State's kicking it out to touch. Jacob Schaefer with the kick there. Again, off of his left foot.
I do know that if the ball is kicked into touch off a penalty and there's no time, there will be a restart.
So we could be done and waiting for any kind of a dead ball to end this half. But because that's a penalty kicked out of bounds, Boise State's allowed to restart here with the line out.
Any forward pass, any knock-on, anything of that nature that would create a dead ball will be the end of the half. Any penalty will continue play. You cannot end a half on a penalty.
Boise State with the line out.
Oh.
Griffin Mosier.
Lucky. Very lucky bounce.
An unfortunate.
Was that called in?
Looks like Griffin may have knocked that ball forward before he gathered it up.
Oh, that's what it is. Well, that was the dead ball. Apparently, we are running into a mighty bit of stoppage.
I think you and the referee might buy your clocks at the same store. Here
penalty.
we go. Another penalty on the scrum.
What was
this
that?
one given to Boise State.
Is that a short arm penalty for a feed?
No, I'm not sure that's a short arm penalty.
It must have been hands in the scrum is what I would have to call there. The feed was right. Maybe a flanker tapped that ball in and kept it in, and he saw that. Or if you're from New Zealand, saw it. Boise State needs to keep this ball. They need to just really pound this thing.
I can't imagine how there's any time left here. Boise State throwing everybody into this line out.
I feel like you've said this before.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they've got everybody.
They got a
They're
quick,
going with the short line
short
out,
throw.
trying to draw Western Washington's defense into that sideline. It wouldn't surprise me to see them go wide now.
So much time is taken. Oh, mercy. That's obstruction.
That's going to be.
He let it go.
Behind his own teammate, surprisingly.
Good for Boise
Number
State.
9's got options on both sides now, choosing to go to his right, back to his forwards.
Mountains of time are being taken
Number
up.
7, Charles Hubbard running with the ball. Got a little bit of a break. This is what Boise State's been looking for. If they can get that line break and then get that ball out wide to
Here we go. They've got numbers.
They might be able to find the space now. Douglas Barnes passing it back to Jacob Schaefer. Penalty.
That line speed is quick, but sometimes it is offsides.
Yeah, Boise State going quick here.
A score right here would be giant. They have numbers out to the right side, Rich. A lot of numbers. They need to keep it coming. They still have a 3-on-2 out to the right. Oh, a breakthrough.
And there it is. Boise State finally putting one up on the board. They got the white line fever.
I don't think that was just the wind. They nailed that one through.
Did you happen to see who got that score? Who finished it up for them? Boy, of course, a lot of teamwork from Boise State. 3 phases to get it from that penalty spot into the goal.
Rich, I am blind in one eye and can't see out of the other. I certainly can't see that far.
I didn't pick you for your eyes. I picked you for your commentary. That is definitely going to be the halftime wrap.
Hey, so here we go.
About 6 minutes after the clock stopped,
we're
still playing.
Yes, the game carried on, but it fell onto Boise State's favor. Wow, can you get any luckier than that?
If there's a day to have the clocks go slow, it might be, as Boise State is just struggling to find that end zone, that goal to put 5 up on the board. Boy, they need that momentum going into the half.
That kick does appear on target. No good. Well, there's half, Rich.
Yep, that's halftime. Western Washington up 21-5 for Boise State. You know, one of the values that the Boise State coaching staff has is they've talked about grit. What kind of grit is Boise State going to have to reach for and dig for now going into halftime for these halftime talks?
Well, I really see Boise State with a bit of momentum going into half there. Possession's everything, and I think they've made a few on the field changes in supporting closely. I also feel like Boise State got quite a few penalties up front, and they just fell behind really fast. The interesting part here is the referee now has seen quite a few offsides, quite a few holds at the tackle, and those penalties are now swinging and coming back Boise State's way. Those penalties were huge in keeping possession intact, going into stoppage, and allowing Boise State to get down that last score. So, you know, will that stymie Western Washington's attack, knowing that the referee is now aware and fully alert of it?
Yeah, the Vikings have been very quick on defense. They get rung up once or twice for an offside penalty. It may slow down some of that.
I want to announce that that's the second offsides for being offsides at the gain line. And so Boise State received the yellow for 2-3 high tackles, yes? So it's quite possible now that the referees had that talk with the Western Washington captain and said, you know, I've seen you offsides twice. I yellow carded Boise State for the 3rd infraction, repeat infringement. It's quite possible that we're going to see a yellow card in the second half going to Western Washington, and that's the momentum that Boise State's going to need to really play a short-sided field and attack. Let's see if Western Washington can slow down that defense and stay onside.
Yeah, there were 3 high tackle penalties against Boise State leading to the yellow card, and then they had the additional high tackle penalty after that when the Vikings player went down to his knees and was a little bit lower. But all in all, 4 penalties for that.
a couple times for hands in, not releasing. Boise State's faced a lot of penalties in this first half.
As you become aggressive at the breakdown, and that aggression is to steal the ball back, if your objective is that way, you're doing it at every level. You're trying to hold the ball carrier in. You're trying to not allow him to release. You're trying to allow your teammates time to play that ball. Those are all things that are happening. But those are all things that's the game within the game. They're trying to do it, and they're trying to have the referee not see it. Once the referee starts keying in on the fact that Boise State can't get the ball posted, he's now starting to call those penalties, and he's seeing that they're not releasing the ball carrier, or they're playing the ball on the ground, or they're getting their hands in the ruck. That's going to either result in yellow cards in the second half, or they're going to have to temper their defensive pressure.
Yeah, the Vikings have been very solid around the tackle, around the breakdown. Many times I've seen that they're holding on to that tackled player legally. The SIR's allowing them to retain that tackle, slow down Boise State's attack, and help their team to poach that ball.
I'm not against it. I mean, that is, you do what you can to get away with. If rugby wanted to be fully ridden with replay cameras and everything else, we'd put 5 referees on the field. We don't. We have 1. That's why we do it. We do it because you hear me go, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe you didn't see that. That's the way the game is. That's the game. That's what it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to catch everything. And that's the mental part about rugby that I love so much, that says you were totally cheated. You were wronged. They capitalized from it.
Yeah, and the SIR just didn't see it.
The fighting is in between your ears. Do you have the mental toughness to endure the physical restrictions or requirements that this game has, and now the mental capacity? That's, you have to fight back the anger in a full contact sport of being wronged and cheated at a breakdown. Rugby makes great men. They make great leaders. They make great athletes. They're good under pressure. They're good business people. That's why I love this game.
Yeah, and I'm sure Coach Matt's talking to his players right now about those kind of values, about the toughness, about their grit, about hard work, about endurance, about the things that they need to find within themselves to come back in the second half.
That's where teams are made. It's being strong mentally, knowing you're down 2 scores. How are you going to get the ball back? How are you going to change? And I think that they're seeing the swing. The referee is no longer on top of them. By golly, they got to get their tackles low, Rich. Boise State is tackling standing straight up, and they have been rung up time and time and time again. They've seen yellow cards from it. They need to start tackling low. Yeah. But if they can get their tackles low, they're playing a clean game. They're doing well. They're starting to find support around the breakdowns. We get some ball possession in the second half by Boise State, and they start moving sideline to sideline. We could have a different game in the second half.
Well, before we get over to the second half, I believe that we're going to roll over to a pre-game interview that we did with a number of players that have come from the Granite Bay High School in California.
Yeah, that would be great.
Brian Saminsky, I'm here on the pitch at Boise State Rugby, and I have with me 5 gentlemen, all players. We're going to go ahead and just introduce ourselves.
My name is Jacob Schaefer. I am 19 years old and a sophomore at Boise State.
My name's Sam Portello. I'm a junior here at Boise State, and I'm 20 years old.
I'm Matt Karp. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a junior here at Boise State.
I'm Kyle Curry. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a sophomore here at Boise State.
I'm Douglas Barnes. I'm a freshman here at Boise State, and I'm 18.
So why we're interviewing these 5 guys is they all share a common thread that's fairly unique. All 5 of these guys are all from Granite Bay, California, which is Sacramento area. Granite Bay is a high school in Northern California, and all 5 of them took a path to getting to Boise State, but that path
up top.
Back in the second half now.
There literally was just a kickoff,
Yep.
and Boise State knocked the ball into touch on their 5-meter line. By definition, Rich, Unlucky.
Yeah, and because it was a knock and then it went out of bounds, or what we could say into touch, it's the Vikings' choice whether they want to scrum from the spot of the knock, the knock, or the line out where the ball went out of bounds.
Unless they found tactical squareness. Boise State's scrum has been dominant, so this is an interesting call. They do have the ball at the back, though.
The 9 chooses to take the ball himself.
There he has
and
it.
Pick it.
He has. No, he didn't. I thought he had possession.
Right.
Boise State doing everything to steal that ball.
Vikings right on the goal line. Of course, they're just slowing it down and attacking with their forward pack time and time again. Here's their third phase right there on the goal line.
Boise State needs to really stiffen up. They need something. Held up. 5-meter scrum going to Western Washington.
So describe held up, Brian. What do we mean when we're talking about that?
When the ball's into goal, Blue is trying to put the ball into goal and press it down with any amount of downward pressure. Boise State is laying underneath of it, and they are stopping that from being held down. So what the referee is stacking one hand on top of the other is saying that the ball was held before it was pressed down. Rich, right here is a huge scrum for Boise State. If they can get the pressures that they were getting at the tail end of the second half, sweet mother of love, push them back, award a penalty, and clear this ball out, they got their backs against the wall.
Vikings with the put in. Ball's underneath the 8-man now. The 9's going to pitch it out to the 10. Backs ball. They're trying to work to get it wide.
He's isolated. No one there, though. Boise State has numbers. Inside ball. Great stoic defense. That was patience.
The Vikings again choosing to use. No, I believe that's one of the Vikings.
Are they
centers.
picking him up and move? Nope, he's down. I thought they were going to take him take him into touch. Pressure, big pressure. Boise State needs to come forward, and they almost need to do it faster here. They cannot allow. They are receiving on defense right now. And when I mean receiving, I mean they are standing there and Western Washington is just running into them.
Yeah.
That is catching. You do not want to catch. They need to meet them. Boise State needs to get off that gain line and make some tackles. Move that ball backwards.
The Vikings number 9, Charlie Funk, is just sitting there waiting for the options. He has all the time in the world that he wants.
There is a big tackle, and that's moving him backwards. Ball's coming out to the backs, though, Rich.
To a forward. Looking for some space. Doesn't
need a
have
poach.
it.
Oh, I will tell you, Western Washington is supporting their ball so well. Uh-oh.
Darius with the ball.
He was stopped. Stone cold stopped. There's that second pass, Rich.
Yeah, that dangerous offload that the Vikings have been doing.
That second pass at the break at that pod is dynamic.
Now,
here's this. Oh, keeper.
And another try for the Vikings.
I can't express to you enough how difficult it is to line up, know a man has the ball, put a beat on him like you're going to tackle him, and then find out that he's passed it off to another dude. You've lost your tackling lane, you've lost your tackling strategy, and it is brutally difficult. And so what Boise State might need to start incorporating is a push defense. A push defense would have somebody shooting up from the breakdown, Rich, and then sliding across and cutting him down before he can get there. A push defense is going to require the defense to shoot off of that line, and that might be what they need to do here.
Nathan Mathis of the Vikings looking to add 2 more. And he slotted it right down the middle.
The old post pillar gate, Rich. Post pillar gate is a strategy used around the breakdown where the first, second, and third defenders shoot up, and what they need to do is really get up there, and that first guy shoots across and just takes that ball carrier, and allowing the second guy to come in and get that second offload before he reaches the gain line. That is insurmountable. Stop them before they reach the gain line.
Well,
Rich.
I sure hope to see Kyle Curry and Charles Hubbard talking to their team as the captains of this team, talking to them and motivating them, getting their defense to come up. If the defense sits there and catches the Vikings forwards running at them full speed, it's going to be a tough spot that they put themselves in.
Is not the restart we're looking for. Boys need to keep their head ups right now. Things are not going their way, but it is how the ball bounces. They need to keep their head up. They need to keep their momentum forward, encouraging each other, and really doing their part. They need to get the ball to bounce their way and capitalize. They need a break is what they need.
Brian, if I'm not mistaken, the Vikings number 8 was the one that came off with the foot injury, and he is back on the field now, playing at number 8. I'm not sure if they pulled him off the field. He may have just been sitting on the sideline while they analyzed his ankle. Maybe give him a tape job.
And maybe there's a concession within. There's that scrum of Boise State's again. There is that scrum of Boise State.
Charlie Funk struggling to find the ball under the scrum. The Vikings do bring it out, and here's the kick game.
Holy moly. Dynamic.
Jacob Schaefer with that powerful left foot, going to try to kick it back, and he does leave it in.
Now the counterattack comes. Western Washington swings it to the near side, and off the foot it goes. So that's going to be Boise State's ball, but look at the territory gain that's being had right there. So what we call here, and a lot of people that watch rugby for the first time get wondering why they kick it. That's why. So Western Washington kicked it from just the 40-meter line, this side of the halfway line. Boise State's going to retain possession, and then they're going to kick it back. I want everyone to watch where Western Washington receives that ball. If Western Washington receives that ball anywhere closer than the 40-meter line, that is the tactical advantage that Western Washington is looking for. That's why they do it. They don't do it for this. They do it because Boise State's going to kick back, and where they receive it from, that's the advantage, and that's the attacking platform that they're looking for. Watch it.
Boise State winning the line out, although it looked like our jumper was grabbed in the air. The Sir's on the wrong side to be able to see that. But now we have a penalty for Boise State. not releasing or not rolling away.
Not everything works out. Boise State catches the break they're looking for, Rich. They catch the penalty inside the 22, and by goodness, they needed it.
Yeah, they need to win the turnover battle, the penalty battle in this half to have a chance to
I don't know if the people at home can see that, but not the place to park your car.
Not on a Saturday.
That ball is heavy, and it will dent metal.
Chris
Boy,
Costa
that was huge.
Ready to throw it back into Boise State for the line out. Boise State choosing to go with a 5-man line out. No, a 5-man line out.
Let's see how Boise State can attack off of this line out and create any opportunity. They go deep. Oh my.
Boise State has knocked the ball.
If I'm not mistaken, Rich, it hit Western Washington before it hit us.
Yeah, but the Sir was on the wrong side to be able to see that. And anytime the ball bounces the other way, the chances are the Sir is going to call a knock if he wasn't in position to see that. So we're going to come back and have another scrum down to be put in by the Vikings. Boise State needs to get a big push on this and see if they can dominate the Vikings in this scrum. Is one of the few areas that they've had a little bit of success today.
They've been dominant in that scrum, and they are pushing back. We need to see front row, keep your bind, please, and just drive, boys. That's what you're looking for. There's those binds that we're talking about. Watch their hands and drive.
Charlie Funk.
Ball's at the back, but here comes that drive, pushing him backwards. Nope, the ball gets put out.
Number 11, Carter Daniels of the Vikings, has really been inserting himself in the middle of the pitch rather than playing on that outside edge.
There's that second pass, Rich.
I believe he was the one that scored in the first half. Vikings, Sean Lyons offloading to
inside ball.
There, his prop. And number 6, boy, the Vikings are very good with these offloads to the other forwards. Boise State might have taken that ball. Yep, they've stolen the ball. The Sur has an advantage for the Boise State Broncos. Now we have a penalty coming in from the side.
Coming in from the side, Rich, is when players don't enter from goal line to goal line. And essentially, you know what the ref looks for? Players' butts. If he can see your numbers and see your rear, and you're driving from the sideline to the sideline into one of these rucks, it is a clean, easy call for the referee to make. He just says, yo, money. That ball is not getting into touch. Super unlucky.
Carter Daniels,
and now the counterattack.
Carter Daniels, who's been so good for the Vikings in this second half, returning that ball all the way back from before the spot that
knocked on.
Jacob Schaefer was kicking that ball.
Oh, my goodness.
Now we have an offside penalty against Boise State. They're going to be pushed back to their own goal line.
That's going to be hard.
Vikings going with a quick tap.
They've got numbers.
Looking to explore that space on the outside edge.
We've got advantage to Boise State. What is he holding his hand out that way for?
He had advantage to Boise State, but he's allowing the Vikings to continue to play.
Another advantage to Boise State. Boy, that's a weird advantage going backwards. Wait. Now he's awarded the penalty to Western Washington, even though he advantaged to Boise State.
Yeah, I believe the Sur is getting confused about which way he was holding his arm. He's done that a couple times earlier in the match.
Well, I'm confused.
Well, regardless of the confusion, the Vikings have the ball. Charlie Funk taps it, puts it off to one of his big forwards.
At least they tackled low, Rich. That's one of the key points of the second half. Get down, boys. Counter ruck, but nothing to be had.
Now out to their 10.
Did he knock the ball forward? At the tackle,
Western
Washington knocked it forward. Western Washington has the ball.
Well, we knew coming into this game that the wind may be a factor, the temperatures might be a factor. It's got to be about 48, 49 degrees and about a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. I think we're definitely seeing the results of that with the number of knock-ons. Maybe not so much because of the wind, but just cold hands.
Boy,
being a factor.
My hands are cold.
Yeah.
My face is cold.
You and I are sitting here like a couple of bumps on the log. These kids are running around. I'm sure the blood's pumping, but it's certainly a factor in this game.
Do I have frozen snot on my cheek?
I'm not looking.
There is a lot of country right here.
Blake Cole faking, now getting
They
down
need to get
the
this ball back inside.
Uh-oh. Vikings are holding him up for a moment, but now they take him down to the ground. Sur is
he is not releasing.
Telling him to get. Kyle Curry decided to keep it himself and try to explore some space.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Boise State had a hit on the neck there. Yeah, everyone sees it. They're not calling it. Boise State got away with one right there.
And now another knock. How many knocks that we've had in this match and the number of scrum downs, but it does seem a little bit higher than the average.
So many knocks, Rich, that Stanley Door Knocker could sponsor these and make money.
It's okay, you can laugh at that.
I didn't want to laugh at my own joke, but
well,
man, that was good.
When it's good, it's good.
We got some substitutions coming in, Rich.
Of course, we have numbers 20 and 21, but
Jack Cruel
please forgive
is
us
coming in.
Yeah.
He's a Mission Viejo kid from Rhinos Rugby Academy. He is coming into the game. And 21, TJ Eichhorn.
Assuming that those numbers are accurate with the information that we were given before the game. Apologies to parents if some of those numbers are wrong and we're getting the names wrong as well.
And if I say Finkel is Eichhorn one more time. Ace Ventura. Oh!
The Vikings 9, running into a little bit of dangerous territory on his own there, but his team catches up to him.
There's a
before
positive
he
tackle, Rich.
gets into trouble. And
hands were in.
Boise State
hands are in.
Getting penalized for
it's your ball, Boise
in
State.
The ruck. Well, Boise State having a little bit of confusion on who the penalty went to, with the Sir having a little bit of confusion.
I was confused earlier with him, so it is understandable why we are confused.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Boise State sat there and wondered.
Oh my gosh, the second kick they've had, and it did not get into touch.
Yeah, and again, the wind playing a bit of a factor there, but Boise State keeps the ball.
And we have a mess of people. Boise State's transition game was not ready for that.
They're looking to structure after the wind kept that penalty kick.
They're going to keep it close.
Yeah, slowing things down a little bit. Kyle Curry getting his backs ready to get some action there. Don't look to Boise State to kick away in this part of the game, being down by 4 scores. They really need to keep the ball and get back to some of that Boise State basics. I believe that was Griffin Mosier.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. That was lucky. That was very lucky. Oh, what a handoff. Great exchange. He's all by himself, though.
Kyle Curry making a lot of moves by
Boise
himself.
State's retained possession, and they have numbers out to the side. They need to get that ball out to the wing. They have numbers. Lucky. Oh, my goodness, it went backwards.
Yep. The ball popped out there, but it went Boise State's way. Uh-oh, that ball got popped out. Again, got lucky. Boise State keeps retention.
They have it again if they can get big passes. Oh, geez.
Boise State trying to run some of those crossing lines, and they come so close to obstruction a couple times now.
Nice cleaning out ruck. I don't know who that was, but good on you, mate.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4, Douglas Barnes coming out of Granite Bay Rugby Club in California.
That's how you hit a pile, Rich. You clean them out and you put them on their backs. Ouch.
Uh-oh. And now a penalty against Boise State. Again, Vikings defense so quick on the ball. Apparently had hands in there in the proper position. Boise State needed to release and did not release. Vikings get another one.
Rich, either Western Washington just gets out of bed and knows how to play the poach, or they practice that. I mean, they are aggressive. Yes, and that one did go into touch. Boise State's last 2 kicks at penalties have not reached the touch line, and that is killing their progress.
Now the wind's pretty much blowing straight into our face now. So every time they kick the ball our direction, they're kicking with the wind. The last couple of times Boise State's penalties were on the far side of the pitch, and to kick to the closest side, they're kicking almost directly into the wind. It's changed the dynamic of the
I bet
the
you
kicking
Sam
and the
Portello
penalties
can kick the ball to that church over there if you give it to him. That kid can stone it. Bit of shuffling around at the line out.
Yeah, Vikings with the line out. They've tossed it a little bit deep.
That's just unlucky.
Apparently no knock by either team. The Sirs letting them play on.
Came through the gate, so that's going to be clean.
Yeah, I believe the 9 is down in the tackle now, so they're just going to pick it up on their own, and a big forward for the Vikings.
Good tackle by 25, the fullback. I don't know who that is, but good on him. I don't have a number 25 on my roster.
Our numbers don't go that high, and
these boys
we ran out of
forward pass. We're bringing this back.
I believe he may have an advantage from something quite a ways earlier. Yes, he does. Coming in from the side.
There's 20 minutes left in this game, Rich, and Boise State does not have the momentum. Western Washington is playing a game that they can steal the ball almost at will. That'll be something that Boise State's going to focus in on the halftime. How to keep possession and how to steal the ball.
Boy, and what a big breakaway that was by number 8, Sean Lyons of the Vikings. It's always fun when you see a big guy get a big breakaway like that and then try to hurdle his tackler.
Okay, Rich, we have a double move and a penalty at the goal line. Basically what happens is that the player was driving to the goal line, they hit, they had a move, and then they made a second move and posted over. Penalty. So Boise State did not get scored on. Western Washington has lost the ball. Boise State made touch for the first time in I can't remember how long.
Well, they're kicking with the wind this time.
And now
that certainly helps.
They have the ball and a touch of momentum.
Yep,
they really need to get the ball out of their half of the field, Rich.
Boise State's line out. I can't imagine that they're going to do any kicking. Being down by...
No, they're in the 22. It looks
being
like
down by 4
it's
tries.
a tough angle for me, but it feels like they're inside the 22. The smart play is to clear it. But I'll tell you this, it's 28-5, and you don't win games by kicking away the ball.
Yeah, Boise State's in a tough spot making the decision between kicking for field position and keeping the ball for possession. Unless they see a mistake by the Vikings 15. Oh boy, there we have another line out. Not thrown in straight.
If you guys could see where that was when he lifted, the ball was thrown to his outside hip. It's not hard for a referee to look in the tunnel and to see where that ball's thrown. Was it in there or was it out? When I mean tunnel, I mean the space between blue and white. Well, if I have my vision, number 8 is barfing on the sideline. And when I mean barfing, I just saw his burrito he ate for breakfast. Whoo! Again.
That is certainly not a good sign. These kids are fit.
I'm just glad
they're in
upwind.
good shape. I can't imagine that's because of any kind of exertion.
He did just have that giant breakaway.
He did, but he's been involved and active throughout the match. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some other kind of issue going on.
There's the weak side wing cutting through the lineup there, Rich. They insert the weak side wing at every moment.
Again, Carter Daniels with the Vikings. I think he has been the
I think Boise
player
State
of the
just
half.
stole the ball, Rich. They picked that like a booger.
Good time for a turnover to Boise State's favor.
Let's see some scoring and make a game of this now. They need some line breaks, and they're getting them. Keep pushing that defense backwards. It is hard to tackle people when you are traveling on your heels. Offsides. That is the third offsides penalty this game. Should we see the yellow? We have an injury on the field. It looked like that was number 23, Rich. Can we verify that?
Well, 23.
I have Jace Barrett. But I feel like everyone switched jerseys at halftime to confuse us. Again, Mom and Dad.
Apologies. Don't hold us liable.
Tell your kids to hang on to their jersey numbers. It's dodgy for us announcers.
Yeah, well, the reality is all the boys wanted to look good. They cared about the size and the fit more than their number.
That's how I get dressed every morning, Rich.
So in comes number 24, and as luck would have it, I don't have a number 24 on my roster. Which doesn't mean he's not a rostered player. It means he just likes the number 24 better and the fit and the feel.
It just goes over his shoulders a little bit better than the other jerseys. I get it.
Okay, now we're back to the penalty. Boise State
trying to get the ball into touch again and having troubles. Oh man, did they catch a break?
Apparently, nobody touched the ball before it landed.
No.
It was and then bounced out.
No, it was touched by Western Washington and then went into touch, line out Boise State. That's called getting lucky.
One half of the game you can't see a thing. Now you're eagle eye Saminsky. I don't know how you saw that.
Quick,
All right,
clean line
Boise
out.
State with a good line out.
I'm going to say that they were offsides. The back line of Western Washington came forward. Again, that is not releasing the ball carrier.
Yeah, the Vikings have certainly been playing that part of the game, slowing down Boise State's quick ball at the breakdown.
Not releasing again. Well, you didn't have it. It didn't matter.
Kyle Curry getting it off.
Oh, that's unlucky.
And the story of the day for Boise State, unfortunately, the knock. Now, you and I are seeing the same thing, Brian, from our vantage point up here in the Eagles' Nest. The Vikings are continually slowing down Boise State's attack. They make a tackle. They hold on to the tackled player longer than they should. They're not releasing before they're grabbing onto the ball. And the Sur's not calling it. And if the Sur's not going to call it, I say good job to the Vikings for continuing to put that pressure on Boise State.
You know what I say?
That pressure is slowing down Boise State's attack.
I say you start rucking players that are hanging onto the ball. And until things change, you give them that. You got a man hanging onto my ball carrier, I'll hit him. Start the ruck right there and let's go. That looked like flooding. But no counterattack from Boise State, so what's the point? A penalty's not a penalty if they're not going for it. Oh, what a clear here. Is that a turnover?
Might have got a little bit wild into there.
That was weird, but he called hands in. I mean,
Boise State quickly going to the kick and got it out of bounds this time.
The clock is not their friend at this point. They need to run.
13 minutes left on the scoreboard.
We all know there's actually 19 minutes left.
7 extra minutes on the Sur's clock.
We are going to play this game until the sun goes down. Okay, that's knocked on. He has it though, so thank goodness. Here we go. Boise State on the attack. The defensive line.
Some space.
Good attack, good defense.
We're going to switch it back and go the other direction. Kyle Curry to his left, to his forward pack.
They are counter-rucking at every... Oh, man. Did he blow that up? Yes, he did.
Apparently, we never made it back to the line again where the initial advantage was on the knock for the lineouts. We did work it from one side of the field back to the other, never getting back to where the lineout started. And he ended that advantage, and now Boise State with another penalty.
That was a really weird play.
I'm up here with you, Brian, scratching my head, wondering what the Sur's seeing, and it certainly is up to the ref how long he plays advantage for a knock and for a penalty, and what he considers advantage is gained. When I see a line out and a knock by the Vikings and the ball goes back 10 meters for Boise State and they struggle to even get back to the original knock, how do you see the world the way this ref is seeing it, that he said Boise State got an advantage and now that advantage is over?
So all the law says here, Rich, is tactical or territorial. He may have seen a tactical advantage that Boise State didn't get. More hands in, okay? So basically what he's seeing here is that a ruck is formed, they're offsides. All of Western Washington is offsides. They never made it back 10, and they move forward.
There's a brilliant bit of offloading.
Unlucky.
Then Boise State with the knock.
So back to the knock, the advantage, Rich, you just simply, he sees something and he says that he sees a tactical advantage or a territorial advantage. What that advantage is when it goes back 10 meters the other way, that's hard to say. But basically he sees it and then he calls a penalty in the process in your own advantage. That's a tough break. Okay, that's unlucky. You'd like to have the ball back for your scrum. You went backwards. That's just hard to do.
Yeah, and ultimately it is up to the ref as to what he sees and what he feels is the advantage gain. And it may have been a tactical advantage where Boise State had some numbers for a moment out there and just weren't able to move that ball forward. Yeah. Well, back to a scrum down here again. Charlie Funk putting the ball in for the Vikings.
Again, a go. Oh, my goodness.
Kyle Curry just laying a lick on the number 9.
Now we're in advantage to Boise State because it was knocked forward.
Vikings have knocked it. Yes, and that a direct result of that fantastic tackle by Kyle Curry. Kyle Curry, one of those Granite Bay kids coming out of California to play here at Boise State.
Like to see the energy and the enthusiasm that they bring to the match. Their knowledge doesn't suck either. They're playing some pretty good rugby. Hats off to those Granite Bay boys for coming up. Oh, now there's a change.
Yeah, the Vikings giving a good push in that scrum.
Oh, a weird pass.
Boise State running a bit of misdirection, and there's the interception.
He's been shooting forward up like that all game long, Rich. That's how they're pressuring it. The back line for Western Washington is running an outside in, where the outside center or the inside center is shooting through to try to create that, and that's been their structure all game. They've had a few near misses earlier on.
Yeah, with the knock at the very beginning of the game. They've shown that defensive strategy a number of times. I saw it a lot more in the first half than I have here in the second half, but it certainly paid off for him there.
Some inside balls would change that punching through strategy, because where he was in that lineup on defense is a giant hole, and a ball coming back inside when he's shooting up, there you could drive a truck through it, Rich. Just find some structure with that, bring in the 15, which is the fullback, to have that inside pass would be a great move for Boise State right there. Specifically if they keep shooting forward on that outside center. Oh, wow. Lo and behold, the 5th penalty for offsides.
Yep, so they called that one back. No try. The points come back. No
yellow card either. They've been offsides 5 or 6 times. I'm no mathematician, but it's a lot.
So Boise State, rather than kicking the ball,
I'm glad I didn't use the
penalty
metaphor, nail in the coffin, and then they come out of it dead man walking.
Kyle Curry looking to
That's
make some
good.
moves.
Here we
Offloads
go.
to their.
Here we go. You got numbers outside now.
Yeah,
You've got
and
numbers
a fancy
outside.
Offload, another fancy offload. Get it out to their 12.
Oh,
Luke Burley.
Mercy. He's from an offside position. Of course he got it. When you find yourself on the wrong side of the ruck and you play the ball, you are offsides. Come on, boys. You've got no time to be dilly-dallying.
Now kicking with the wind. They'll kick it out into touch.
He could have won that truck if he had landed the ball inside the bed.
Missed it by that much. It's not only going into the truck, it's got to stay in the truck.
Okay.
Number 2, Chris Costa, complaining that the Vikings are taking away his space in the lineup.
Free kick.
Sir is agreeing with him, saying
I'm not sure free kick is what you want here, but whatever. Scrum option probably would have been better.
Well, so
now they're holding. You see them holding there, Rich?
Yeah, that's their game. They've been playing the whole game.
No one's offsides on that one.
The whole time the Vikings have done that. We'll watch to see how long they hold on here with the tackle. Oh, good release there.
He's all by himself, guys. There's a quick ball, and from an offsides position, it looked like. If he doesn't watch it, he's going to get held up.
Trying
he's gotten down.
Desperately to work here to get into that goal.
Oh, did he drop the ball? I couldn't tell. I got a tree blocking my view.
Advantage to the Vikings.
He did drop the ball.
Yeah, and he's going to play the knock. Unlucky, Boise State. Unlucky.
That is the way the ball has bounced today for Boise State. They score, you get a try back on a penalty for offsides. You don't get the yellow card. You drive down the field, and by golly, you get on the 5-meter line and you spill it forward. Tough game.
I certainly can understand the yellow card after the third high tackle. After how many offsides for the Vikings would you allow before you finally reach into the pocket and pull a yellow card out and send someone to the sin bin?
Yeah, I certainly would have gone earlier, but I'm just a Weasley Mosley. cross-eyed referee.
All right, Boise State has stolen the ball back again. I'm not sure if they've stolen it or the Vikings have
This is
lost
big.
it, but either way, Boise State's ball pressuring, putting pressure on the Vikings again. Forwards doing a lot of
piling
work with the
onto
pick and
that
jam,
ruck.
the train, whatever you want to call it. It's forwards ball
He's
smashing
in.
into them.
Are they
He's
holding
over
him?
the goal line?
That's going to be held up, Rich.
We're waiting for a signal from the SIR.
Held up.
Anytime
He did
it
signal.
takes that long.
Yeah, when he drove in, they were on him like a backpack and held him up.
So normally a tackler needs to release the tackled player, but anytime you're in goal in the try zone, they do not have to release. They're going to hold on to that tackler. They're going to hold on to the ball and prevent them from pressuring the ball down in the try zone. And that's what the Vikings have just done. So it's going to be a Boise State scrum at the 5-meter.
Can they attack off of this? They've got split backs, Rich. They're shifting everybody around. Is that young Orlovich in the game with his white sock? Local Capital High Boise product. Young freshman. In the split backs position behind the
Right behind the scrum.
yeah, right behind the scrum. Let's see what the local kid can do in the waning moments of the game. Will he have an opportunity? That's not him? No. All right, it's not him. Well, what do you do? 8-man has the ball, 9 to the pick. They've taken numbers. He's down.
And Boise State with their second try of the game.
Nice job on the 8 and the 9 playing off of that.
Who finished that one? Was that number 25 that finished that? If it was number 25, that looks to be young Jackson Dwyer, a Meridian High School graduate. Played a little bit of rugby after high school back eastern Idaho, and then transferred over here to play for Boise State. I'm sure he's excited to be into this match, even though Boise State's down 10-28 with only a few minutes left in the match.
Boy, Rich, I am so cold. I am shaking like a bag of cats at a Greyhound meet. Man alive. Oh, it's in the... Oh, he's touched it down. We'll have a 22 to restart.
Drop. Yeah, I'm cold as an ice cube in a slushie at the North Pole, mate. This wind is just cutting me to the bone.
It is mighty fierce.
Boise State
and he overran
with the 22 drop.
Unlucky.
And bounced in and then out into touch. So it'll be a Vikings line out
If
there
it
near
gone
the midfield.
Directly into touch. We would have seen a scrum down to Western Washington on the 22. You'd think they'd bring the announcers a cup of coffee, something to keep us warm. My jaw is locking up. Oh, that may have been late.
If you hear that rattling noise, it's none of the equipment. It's just my teeth. There's an opportunity for Boise State. Knock by the Vikings with a little over a minute to go. Still down by, well, if they had 2 tries, that only put 14 points on the board. They need 3 or 2 and a penalty with about a minute to go. Boise State really needs to score right here, right off the bat with this scrum. Otherwise, the clock is just winding down on this match.
Rich, people get struck by lightning with no clouds in the sky every day. It's possible.
I don't know about every day. Sounds like an old wives' tale. But here we go for the last minute of the match. Boise State's going to kick for territory.
They are in goal.
Of course, Darius Brown going to kick it, return it back. What a
and
dynamic
here comes
player
the counter.
For the Vikings.
That unlucky.
Just the number of knocks today.
It's just the way the game has gone for Boise State.
The way that this whole game has gone. It's been a number of knocks, mostly against Boise State. The lineouts, they really struggled with the lineouts getting the ball in straight. And then the Vikings defense just holding on and getting hands into the ruck before the SIR started calling that. A lot of things to give the Vikings the momentum in this game. 10-28 is what we've got for a score here, and there's no more time on the clock. Of course, again, the Sir has the final time, but I can't imagine he's going to let this one go on for too long.
There's no sense in it. There's no game to be had. It should be stopped when there's over. Anything that happens from here is just senseless time because you can't come back with that many scores. The game is lost. Playing in stoppage at a game like this just can create injury. And here we go. Just hit a player in the air. He's got the penalty. We're in stoppage. Well, it is a strange bit of business here to see the game carry on in stoppage when there is a unsurmountable lead. But you want your 80 minutes worth, you're getting it.
Yeah, Vikings are going to try to tack one more on. Darius Brown looking to tack one more on.
Darius Brown is electric.
He definitely made an impact and scored that first try for the Vikings
Boise
in
State
the first half. But number 11, I think, is my player of the match for this match. The weak side wing inserted himself so many times in the second half and really opened up the score for the Vikings.
Bringing in that weak side wing to overload on those backs is a dicey prospect. And it is difficult to defend. Oh, there's a nice strong run. Stay into play there. Good offload. He kept possession. I mean, by a hair, he kept possession.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he held on to that one, Brian, but
good for him. Because that
Boise
ball
State
was
now looking to get the ball out really wide.
They did it. That was a skip 4 play.
Skip 4 and skip it on the ground.
Boise State's forwards are not ready to attack, though. Here we go. Oh, the grubber attempt.
And turnover ball. Vikings again with it, and they're just going to kick it out of bounds to end the game.
Well, that's going to do it. Oh, we good? All right.
Oh, yeah, it's back to us again. Well, it wasn't the finish that we were hoping to see. Vikings make it to the finals, the championship, next round.
They'll be playing the winner of Oregon-Washington State.
Correct.
And that game will be in Oregon, I believe. Interesting outcome, interesting game. I think it was well played by Western Washington. I think they did everything that they needed to do. And the real deciding factor for me was just how they played the breakdown. I wouldn't coach them any differently. I loved it. I mean, they went in and they played the ball. I'm a Boise State alum, but man alive, they attacked the breakdown. They attacked on defense. They took the penalties. I think they took 6 penalties for being offsides. Mm-hmm. They didn't receive the yellow card, so lucky them. But that's a team that's attacking, and they did it. They did it right. They got the ball back. They took their advantages the way they needed to, and the results are clear.
Yeah.
So
their defense was stout, not only stout, but very aggressive. They towed that line between the number of penalties that they could get on defense and the number of times that they put pressure on Boise State. The constant pressure on Boise State and the number of turnovers were evidence that their defensive strategy was working well today.
Iron sharpens iron, Rich. Boise State needs to play games like this so they can learn how to play when being attacked at the breakdown in such a manner, and then learn how to attack at the breakdown in the same manner. This is good for them. There's growth to be had. Boise State is a young team. They have lots of youth, and they're only going to be getting better throughout the next season coming up.
Yeah, correct. Boise State's mostly freshmen and sophomores, so they're going to return a lot of players. They're in a good spot right now with good coaching, good management, a young team. I really look to see Boise State come back and be in this kind of a position next season as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. They got the 7 seasons upon them, and they'll start gearing up for that, and it'll be good to watch and see the growth. I think the boys are going to have their head down low for a bit, but that's what makes you great. You can't win them all.
Yeah, it's definitely not the outcome they were hoping for. It's very disappointing for us and for the team. Western Washington has won this league's championship every year since 2014. They're a tough team. Unfortunate with the way that things went today, but hats off to the Vikings and the way that they played and the win here today.
Thank you, Rich, having me out. It's been good.
Yep,
good job.
Friend.
Oh, to what? I don't know what she said.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Say it. Oh, you gonna do that? Oh. So we've got a little highlight at the end. I did an interview with a good friend and an ex-player that I have known for 20-something years, Jeff Challey, who is the assistant coach. We're going to show that interview right now. Jeff Challey and I played for Boise State 24 years ago, and
got a chance to meet up before the game.
Got a chance to meet up and have a little interview, so we're going to show that right now. Brian Szyminski, I am here with assistant coach or assistant to the coach.
Either way, either one will work.
Jeff Challey. Jeff, you've been around Boise State rugby for many moons, yeah? Yes, sir. How many years would you say that you've been associated with Boise State rugby?
27.
27 seems like a long time, but he's probably not lying, because Jeff and I played together
long time ago.
About 24 years ago. We made a couple laps around the sun playing all sorts of schools and teams. But I have to ask you, since you saw the beginning of Boise State rugby and now you're at where you're at, have you left the jerseys at home?
Yeah, the jerseys are at home for sure. I couldn't play with these kids. There's no way.
No. Has your team showed up and played without their jerseys because your coach forgot them?
No, we've had the jerseys for every match.
We had to play Utah in a snowstorm in T-shirts. Do you remember that game?
I do remember that game very well.
Our coach left the jerseys at home. Would you say things have changed?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit, for sure, yeah.
It looks like you guys have more than one coach. It looks like the boys are showing up. You got a lot of people in practice?
Absolutely. We usually get 25, 30 kids at practice.
It wasn't uncommon for it to be just a couple of us when we played together. Jeff, I also noticed that you have a roster that are not suited today. How much youth do you have on this team?
I'd say we're 70 to 80% freshmen and sophomores.
Wow. And of those 70 to 80% that are sophomores and freshmen that are in now, how many of them have previous experience playing?
90% probably.
How many of those kids would you say are local kids then? Or are you still bringing them in from out of state? Because we've seen a lot of influence from California on this team.
Very few local kids. I think we're about 80% Californian.
Maybe spend a bit more time home recruiting than out on the trails in California?
We try. Absolutely, we try.
That's great. Well, from a couple old boys that have been around Boise State rugby for some time, it's a pleasure, and I just wanted to say good luck today, and thank you for the time.
Thanks,
see you, bud. All right, thank you. It's Brian Szyminski. I'm here on the pitch at Boise State Rugby, and I have with me 5 gentlemen, all players. We're going to go ahead and just introduce ourselves.
My name is Jacob Schaefer. I am 19 years old and a sophomore at Boise State.
My name's Sam Portello. I'm a junior here at Boise State, and I'm 20 years old.
I'm Matt Harp. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a junior here at Boise State.
I'm Kyle Curry. I'm 20 years old, and I'm a sophomore here at Boise State.
I'm Douglas Barnes. I'm a freshman here at Boise State, and I'm 18.
So why we're interviewing these 5 guys is they all share a common thread that's fairly unique. All 5 of these guys are all from Granite Bay, California, which is Sacramento area. Granite Bay is a high school in Northern California, and all 5 of them took a path to getting to Boise State, but that path was a little bit different. But it is unique that there are 5 kids, all from the same school, all traveling to Boise State, and all happen to play rugby. Who were the first 2 that made it over? You guys were? Okay. How did you guys get to the path of getting to Boise State?
I guess our head coach at Granite Bay, Jason Devine, he made some connections with the Boise State coaches here, and then that prompted us to move into Boise State here together.
So you guys are juniors at Boise State, and we have a couple sophomores and a freshman. So oddly enough, did you guys all play on the same team together? Maybe freshmen, you still got some action with these boys, even though you're a bit younger?
I played with them too, but I was
okay. So you 2 were a class above these guys here, yeah? So how did this make that you 2 made it up here and you get a hold of these guys and they get over here? How did you find out about this? How did you get to Boise State a year after these 2 made it?
Well, a lot of it was like the same coaches started reaching out to us again, and we got very interested because we knew Sam and Carp went up here and heard some great things about the program and the area of Boise itself. So when Schaefer and I took our visit up here together actually last year or 2 years ago, and we just loved the campus and the team itself.
It's a great community, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty good. Have you guys been able to take in some of the local rugby that we have here with our Idaho rugby programs in our own high schools and everything else? Have you been able to size up any of the competition that you knew you had in high school compared to what maybe you're seeing here? Is it a bit different?
Yeah, I would say it's a little different up here than it is compared to down there. I mean, some people that we play with that were from Idaho, like they're playing on the same team as us and they're competing with us, stuff like that. But I just think that from where we came from originally, it's like we came to a whole new atmosphere when, especially like playing rugby and such. So
yeah. So I happen to have graduated from El Camino, which is another Sacramento school. I cut my teeth. I played for 4 years when I was in high school. I played at Sacramento State. I also played at Boise State. So we have a lot of the same lineage. I just wanted to know, because when I played, Jesuit, who is a national perennial high school powerhouse, happens to also be from Sacramento. Did any of you beat Jesuit? Because I know I never lost to them. So I want to know, did anybody get over on Jesuit when they had a chance in the high school years?
One time we got over Jesuit. It was like my JV year right before the championship, and we beat them in playoffs, and it was very satisfying at the time. Yeah.
Well, guys, I want to invite you to some of the high school matches. Come out. I referee. I coach. You guys are all welcome. I just think it's a great story. I think it's a great deal that you're coming in here. I think it's super unique that 5 guys from the same school can all be here for rugby. Guys, thank you very much. Best wishes today, okay? Thank you. All right. Cheers, boys. Thank you. All right, you guys. Good luck, guys. Thank you very much.